Hi, welcome to this week's GTA 5 o'clock. I'm Tim Weaver. We haven't got Dan this week. In fact, I don't even know where Dan is. I literally have no idea. We tried phoning him. He's not been in work. Dan, if you're out there, I really hope you're all right. Dan. No, he's not responding. So this week we've got James Jarvis here. James is the producer on GTA 5 o'clock. So he's been with us all the way through, working away in the background there. James, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Tim. Yeah, I'm a bit concerned about Dan, but let's hopefully gloss over that.
I hope he's all right. Dan, if you're listening,
prepare for some good facts.
You better be researching GTA 5 o'clock at home right now. This week, we're going to try and do something pretty, I think, ambitious, perhaps foolhardy. We're going to go and try and name every single vehicle in every single screenshot of GTA 5 released so far. Now that maybe sounds like an easy job, but actually it's really quite hard because a lot of the vehicles in GTA 5 have been are the same as in previous GTAs, but they've been given a little bit of a design tweak, and because you only very quickly glimpse them or they might be blurred in the background, it's actually more difficult than you might think to nail down exactly what type of vehicle they are. But we think we've done a pretty comprehensive job of it. If there are people out there who think we've missed something out, then please do tell us. We're not so arrogant that we think we've covered all bases, but I think we've been pretty comprehensive. I guess we'll find out. So we're going to kick it off with the first screenshot ever released, and we're going to do it in chronological order from the first screenshot ever released right up until the last screenshot released of GTA 5. And in the first screenshot, James, we see a...
I'm going for helicopter.
You are correct.
Yes, moving on.
To call it a helicopter. It is, I believe, a police Maverick. Now, yes. Maverick was with helicopters that have been used in most of the GTA games. Not a huge surprise that they'd make it into GTA 5, given that the guys at the centre of the game are in a bit of bother with the law. Indeed.
And I think we'll see later on that the Maverick also comes in different versions, so there are like civilian versions of it as well. This one has been obviously equipped with all the police camera work and stuff. But
yeah, it's interesting actually. In a couple of the screenshots later on, you'll see that not all the police helicopters, and I don't know whether this is just a little kind of perhaps I'm reading too much into this. Not all the police helicopters have got Los Santos PD markings on them. Some of them, so I don't know whether you get in Los Santos you get plainclothes helicopters,
like FBI type helicopters.
Yeah, maybe that is. Yeah, maybe they belong to the FBI or the FIB. Maybe maybe that might explain why they don't have those markings on there. It's probably a good shout.
And I'm sure you'll get the old classic sort of news helicopters as well, and things like that we haven't seen yet. But
yeah, definitely. So that was the first ever screenshot of GTA 5 released with a police Maverick in it. Next, we see a shot of a lake. I don't think there are any screenshot, any
no
vehicles in this.
No, I don't think so.
Pretty sure not. We are in future weeks going to do every location, so we'll probably come back to this screenshot at some point further down the line. Here now, this is interesting. I think this is probably a Hydra.
Yeah.
Based on the design, where the missile configuration is, and the tail. However, there are some whispers on the net that it might be what's been tentatively called a fighter, which is a type of plane that was reportedly dropped from GTA 4 for various reasons. I think at the time, and correct me if I'm wrong, James, I might have remembered this incorrectly. One of the reasons Rockstar dropped planes from GTA 4 was in the light of 9/11. It seemed inappropriate to...
I seem to remember, yes, that being because it was just around, it's sort of still a bit fresh in people's minds, and they didn't want people flying planes around into tall buildings.
Into buildings and stuff, yeah. So I think maybe that was the plane that was dropped from GTA 4, the what's tentatively called the fighter. I don't know whether that's its actual name. Rockstar haven't obviously confirmed. And in none of the reports we've seen so far has anyone named the plane in question. But so it's either a Hydra, and I think it probably is a Hydra, or it's maybe this new. Maybe the fighter is a new configuration of the Hydra.
Could be a military sort of
Yeah, that is a possibility as well. So, moving on. We've got a Cheetah.
Fairly obviously the Cheetah here. Designed, influenced by the Ferrari Enzo.
Yeah.
Quite clearly. It's been in almost every other GTA game, so it's not a surprise to see it return in 5. But its handling isn't the best, but it is very fast.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of these cars have been given just a little bit of a design tweak, as you'd probably expect, and yeah, the Cheetah. It's funny because in a lot of the screenshots of the Cheetah, and actually if you look in the trailers as well, the H of the Cheetah is often covered up by
some kind of glare.
Yeah, conveniently placed glare to confuse things slightly. But that is the Cheetah with an H that we've seen in a lot of previous GTAs.
Yeah, in GTA 3, it was the fastest car in the game, but then it seemed in San Andreas they made it slightly slower.
Yeah,
and as I guess GTA 5 is based on San Andreas, maybe there is a slightly faster car out there than this.
Yeah, there are a lot of, as you'll see as you go on, there are a lot of high performance vehicles in the city of the state of Los Santos, city of Los Santos. So maybe the Cheetah's been dialed down to make way for something
possibly
even better.
Normally found in the more affluent areas, as in most of the high power sports cars are.
Yeah,
so you can expect them to be roaming around those sort of areas.
Yeah. It's a mountain bike.
That's a good start. On near the pier.
Well, I say it's a mountain bike, but it has actually got those sort of like racing bike kind of drop handlebars. Yeah. And we do later on in some of the screenshots glimpse a mountain bike, but I think maybe this is a racing bike. You can sort of see the guy is actually wearing cycling shorts.
I think it looks like that.
So I don't know whether this is one of the guys. Quite hard to tell whether it's one of the 3 guys' main protagonists, or whether it's just a shot of what is Los Santos' equivalent to Santa Monica Pier, and a guy just riding around to show you the kind of level of freedom you have, and that you can go around and pick up a racing bike and just go around and see the sights. Yeah,
these kind of bikes are more sort of suited to hill climbing and sort of speed rather than like power and being easy to maneuver.
Yeah.
So you'll probably find them using them best for going up the mountains and across through trials and things like that. But as you say, there are other types.
Yeah, I imagine those will be the mountain bikes you go on the trials with, whereas this one's probably just for bombing along the roads on. Okay, a man parachuting through a canyon. I guess as a parachute qualifies a vehicle, probably.
Well, I think we're covering parachutes a bit later on. So,
okay.
There we go.
Let's move on. Tennis.
Tennis. Not many vehicles in tennis.
No. Here we are. Okay, this is interesting. James, do you want to talk about the Sanchez?
The Sanchez, which is a dirt bike, which has been in a lot of the previous GTAs, much like the Cheetah. Obviously set to appear in GTA 5. What else can we say about it?
Wasn't the Sanchez? I may be remembering this wrong. Wasn't the Sanchez used? You remember in Vice City they had the didn't they have the stadiums where you could go in and
normally had bikes in there.
Yeah,
where the mini game started.
That was where the Sanchez was introduced, I think, in Vice City, and because I remember playing Vice City and finding it in there, and that was where I think that was the first. I'm pretty sure that I'm correct in saying that it wasn't in GTA 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think were there bikes in GTA 3. I think there maybe were, but maybe not dirt bikes. So, and you need the dirt bikes for Los Santos because obviously there are a lot of. It's such a different environment to Liberty City.
Yeah.
You've got so much more mountains and trekking and stuff.
And these are the ones that you're quite prone to being thrown off if you hit cars.
Yeah.
Which will then lead to, I guess maybe GTA 5 some kind of trip to the medical centre or something.
Yeah.
But you're more likely to get injured than these because they go quite fast.
Yeah.
Interestingly, in GTA 4, the Sanchez is the only one that doesn't start electronically. So the man you have to jump on it and use the foot pedal to make it go. Okay,
so moving on. Another Maverick, police Maverick. Looks like Trevor's about to take a pot shot at it. Yeah.
It's the helicopter again. Yeah. Debuted in Vice City. only appears when the player obtains a 3-star wanted level. So either that he's got a 3-star wanted level in this screenshot, or they're just again using it as a showcase.
That's quite interesting in that, you know, the Mavericks appear in screenshots where the guys seem to be on their way to, or more probably way from, a critical part of the mission, probably one of the heists.
Yeah.
That 3-star wanted level thing probably isn't such a throwaway remark as you meant it there. In that, you know, it probably gives a good insight into the kind of point at which these screenshots are taken during the missions. You know, the fact that Trevor's seems to be on some sort of walkway taking a pot shot at a helicopter probably suggests things are getting pretty tasty pretty quickly.
Yeah, because I think after GTA 3, if you get 4 stars, 2 police helicopters turn up and start chasing you.
Right.
So, I mean, there might be another one out of shot here, but you could say that this kind of environment would make you have a 3-star wanted level rather than something that's slightly higher.
I think if it's got to the point where you're taking a gun with laser sights, is that his laser sights?
It looks like it, yeah. Coming
to a police helicopter, it's fair to say the mission might have gone a bit south.
It's time to get the heavy weapons out.
Yeah.
I think we're on...
here we are.
Here we are. With
Furnace. This is the game's in-game equivalent of a Lamborghini, I think.
Yeah, and also in the background you've got the Vapid police cruiser there.
Yeah. It's interesting that talking about the Vapid, just taking the Vapid... Vapid is like the company, for people who don't know, like the car company that makes...
the dealership.
Yeah, the dealership that makes the cars, but they also make the taxis as well. So that's why they're based quite closely on the Ford Crown Victoria, which in the States is always used for... Not always, but mostly used for police cars and taxis. So that's why the police cars and taxis are the same make, the Vapid police cruiser and the taxi. What's interesting about the police car here is that if you take a good look at the design, the front of that Vapid police cruiser there, because later on there is a screenshot where it looks like the bonnet of a police car. It's slightly obscured in a later screenshot. And it looks like it's a slightly different variant, and it makes me think that it might be like a Buffalo or something, which people remember from previous games is a bit more a bulky kind of design, and sort of also works in tandem with the regular police cruisers. But we'll get to that later. Right. Above, you can see another Maverick,
it's another police chopper with a guy who's got laser sights. I just realised.
Oh yeah. So, although it looks the tail of the helicopter looks slightly different to the traditional Maverick, which we'll see in a bit, which the 3 guys meet around in the screenshots we've already covered. It's got like a sort of circular kind of tail, a sort of section on the tail, and I don't know, that tail is slightly out of shot, so it might be that this is another variant on, another slightly different police helicopter to the Maverick we've glimpsed in the other one. But it's hard to tell when the tail is not completely in shot. But yes, up front we've got the brilliantly named Furnace, which has been, I think, in previous games.
I think just going back to that, your helicopter point, I think in the other games you do get slightly different variants of like the Maverick helicopter that just got slightly different design tweaks. So it could just be one of them.
Yeah, crop duster, isn't it?
Here he is flying across the river.
I don't know that there's much to say about this other than you can see its the little tails underneath the bottom bit of the bi wing. Yeah, if that's what it's called. That's where the pesticides come out, and of course there's that now famous bit in the first trailer where the crop duster sort of swoops over a vineyard and showers what we presume are possibly workers, possible illegal immigrants. I don't know, because Rockstar probably are having their say on the sort of immigration issue and that sort of thing.
I think in the past that the pesticide drop has been player controlled, so there is possibility of not just doing it over crops. Yeah. You could fly it through the city and drop a whole load of pesticides on the civilians.
Yeah. Okay, so here you can see police cruiser. We've already talked about that. I did have a really good look to see whether there's any sort of history of because if you can see through the hole in the back of that truck, there's a car on there.
Yeah.
And I did, so it's obviously transporting vehicles. It's interesting that, is that Frank? I can't see because I'm sort of sitting at an angle. Is that Franklin on the...
Well, it looks like it's, yes, like it could be Franklin.
So it looks like it's taken mid-mission. Whether he's stealing that car or not, I think we'll have to just say probably...
Probably is.
He is.
And the police are not happy about it.
So I had a quick look back through the other GTA games. I couldn't find any mention of a sort of lorry that's carried cars before. That doesn't mean there wasn't any, but it's not like a brand name perhaps that we've had in previous games. So I don't know whether this sort of the car portion of the truck is being towed by, because there are trucks, quite famous brand trucks in the GTA series, but whether it's being towed, the carport, the back portion of it's being towed by one of these brands, it's impossible to tell really from this angle. One interesting thing is that those wheels at the front on the right hand side look like they're at a naughty little angle and about to come out.
It does look like it's been bashed around a bit, or there's something going a bit wrong with the road there.
So we'll have to wait and see on the truck, but interesting that there's a car on there, and that suggests that this is maybe part of it. Could just be a regular mission, or it could be a heist mission, because heists don't just have to be bank jobs.
No,
it could be
high value.
Yeah, could be stealing anything. Okay,
Hydra.
So I think this is a Hydra again, based on the missile configuration, but I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult to pin it down exactly. It looks like a military fighter jet. I think we've talked about it in previous GTAs that this is probably military.
Yeah, I think so. I think before, these kind of planes have had the old vertical takeoff and landing capabilities. So they take off and land like a helicopter and then flip round and fly off like a jet.
I wonder what sort of we got any insight into what sort of wanted rating you need to bring these bad boys out?
I think it's when you're in the air. If you get used to be a 4-star wanted level,
that sounds
you get
about right. 2
of them will come and pursue you and try and shoot you down.
Yeah.
I don't think in the past it's been that difficult to shoot them down.
No.
But you never know with improved AI and everything in this version of the game.
I think we speculated in previous weeks that one of the guys, probably either Michael or Trevor, might be piloting this Hydra.
Yeah.
Only because if Michael or Trevor were in the other one that had just been absolutely decimated mid-air, then we'd have a very short game.
Yeah.
So this is what I was talking about earlier with the Maverick. You probably can't get a good look at it here, but it's got the kind of circular... This is like the civilian Maverick.
Yeah.
It's got the kind of circular tail. We'll see it in a screenshot in a couple of shots time, but a long history of being in the GTA.
Yeah,
games.
it's been in pretty much all of them. It appeared in GTA Liberty City Stories, but you couldn't really get in it and use it properly as a player. But then in the Ballad of Gay Tony, in a drugs ward mission, a special golden Maverick was used during that mission, which is brilliant. Big golden helicopter.
I wouldn't be at all surprised. I'm not suggesting there'll be another golden Maverick in this, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if there were special versions of a lot of these vehicles hidden in the game somewhere. So yeah, whether it's a golden Maverick, maybe a platinum Maverick,
hidden away in secret bunkers or like in the desert somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is a 9F, which is not anything like an Audi. James,
it's based on the Audi R8 Spyder. It's got super high performance in terms of speed and acceleration. But it's got quite a soft suspension setup. Yeah,
that suggests that it's not going to hold up brilliantly in high-intensity chases.
No, it's not the car you're going to want to... Well, its speed is good for straight lines, but you don't want to be winding it.
Yeah, I guess the thing is with LA is it's not like... Los Santos. It's probably not going to be like Liberty City where you've got lots of real like grid-based, road systems, so you can belt down them and do a 90-degree turn is the next one. I mean, LA, don't get me wrong, LA does have a lot of grid systems. I'm sure Los Santos will as well, but it also has to wind its way around hills, wind its way around the coast and stuff. So it might be that although something like the 9F gets you good acceleration, you can accelerate away from cruisers and stuff, it might be that it doesn't provide the best of stability, and you might lose control of it a bit more easily. It does, however, look like a lovely car. Nice wheel rims as well.
Beautiful.
Right, so here's the mountain bike.
Yes.
Now this is what I was talking about. The difference between, you'll be able to see the difference between the handlebars on this one and the handlebars on the racing bike that we saw earlier. So it suggests there's definitely two types of bicycle. In front of it there, I think that is a Landstalker. If you compare that Landstalker to a Landstalker that appears in the trailers, they're actually different colours, and it's slightly confusing. It makes them look like different vehicles, because this one here has got like a very sort of old-fashioned sort of wooden kind of panel bit on the back here. And while I was looking into these shots, it kind of confused me slightly, because I thought, is that a Landstalker? But it's got the same light configuration, the same kind of like sort of diagonal kind of bit around the boot under the lights, which suggests that it is definitely a Landstalker, which was actually first introduced in GTA 3, so it's been around for a while.
So, if you look at this shot even closer, right off in the background there, we can just see a tornado just underneath sort of the 3 traffic lights.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what that car is. We're pretty sure it's a Tornado, because it's got the same kind of design as the Tornadoes in previous games, but it might be that it's not, but it definitely looks like it. It's quite low to the ground, and I think in previous games the Tornado was one of the lowest vehicles in the game.
Yeah, Tornado is the one that you can in San Andreas that you could bounce. You could play with the hydraulics and bounce it along the road. On
the left-hand side, difficult to tell what the two right on the edge of the picture are, because we've only got the very front of the car to go by. But the yellow one there, I think, is a Bullet GT. Right. It was in San Andreas. I'm not sure it was in GTA 4, but it was definitely in San Andreas. I think it's a variant on that. It definitely looks like the Bullet GT of San Andreas, albeit slightly redesigned, and that's what makes it difficult, kind of locking down 100% these vehicles, is because they have been given aesthetic tweaks to kind of obviously we're talking about years between San Andreas and GTA 5.
But that would make sense, it being a slightly tweaked version.
Yeah, and it also makes sense, but given that San Andreas takes place in the same city as GTA 5, it would make sense that that particular car, maybe it's a West Coast car, returns for this game. Okay,
back to the Maverick.
Maverick, civilian variety. See what I mean by the circular bit on the tail? That's why I didn't see that on the police helicopter earlier on. It didn't even remotely look like it had a circular bit on the tail, so that suggests there are different variants of the police helicopter. Perhaps, like you mentioned earlier, James, not all police. Maybe some belong to the FIB, some belong to the CIA, whatever they're. I can't remember. It's gone completely blank. The GTA equivalent of the CIA.
The IAA?
The IAA, yeah. Okay, Trevor's gone a bit crazy here, but in the background we're seeing the burning wreckage of a Karin pickup.
I think so, yeah. Not really much to go on here, because I think this is the only shot we really see of it, and it's on fire. Yeah. So we're not really sure what it's going to look like in terms of paintwork and stuff.
If you go into the trailers, I think there is a better version. You can see it before he firebombs it.
Right.
So you'll be able to get a better look at it then. But you can see by the flatbed in the back that it's definitely a pickup. Okay, this was hard to lock down, which sounds odd given that how prominent it is in the shot. But we went back through the sort of archives to look at bikes that had a similar sort of design to this, and what made us sort of plump for the Wayfarer from San Andreas is that the Wayfarer had a very, very similar headlamp and visor configuration, as well as the sort of mudguard on the front of the front wheel there.
Yeah.
The Wayfarer also has this sort of prominent back bit. You can see around Franklin's leg on the right hand side there. This sort of where you can store stuff, I imagine, and that kind of thing. It has those elements on it in San Andreas, albeit it doesn't look exactly like this bike. This looks like a sleeker sort of version of it. But I would say I'm 95% sure that it's a Wayfarer. But I'm willing to be shouted down.
I mean, we did see the Wayfarer in Lost and the Damned as well. So if they were taking existing assets and slightly tweaking them for GTA 5, then it would make sense that this is a variant of that.
Yeah. So I think it's a Wayfarer. But if you've got any other ideas, guys, put it in the comments and we'll can discuss it there. Okay. See what I mean about the tail?
Yeah, that is definitely a different design helicopter than the one we just saw.
Whether that means it's a variant on whether it's not a Maverick at all, or whether it means it's just a different Maverick with a different tail configuration, I'm not sure at this stage, and Rockstar haven't said, but there's definitely markings on the side. What does that say there, James? Can we see?
I don't know if we can get close enough to see that, but it looks sort of yellow.
Yeah,
Does that help?
It suggests to me that that's from a law enforcement
It could well say
agency, you know. So I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility that each of the law enforcement agencies, the FOB, IAA, or Los Santos PD, have slightly different varieties of the same helicopter. Okay, this you can't see there. You can't see it in one of the trailers. There, it's very clearly the jet ski is a Speedophile 2000. This is also a Speedophile 2000, but it's been given a lifeguard makeover. And the reason I can tell that it's a Speedophile 2000 is because it's got that grill. You see next to Trevor's legs there, it's got that grill thing going on there. Now that is also on the Speedophile 2000. Maybe it's not the 2000 variety, but it's definitely
a lifeguard version.
It's definitely a Speedophile. So
the existence of it, you'd think, would suggest that not maybe the lifeguard version, but the normal 2000 version, that there's going to be some sort of variant on missions where you have to chase something along the water or collect some kind of collectibles, checkpointy type race things, because they are very fast and they're used for sort of not, going out to sea in them, but sort of along the coastline, that kind of thing.
I think as we discussed in previous GTA 5 o'clock, so I think there'll definitely be a mission, possibly a heist mission, built around LA Harbour. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that this is part of that mission, and that Trevor's making an escape on a Speedophile because things have gone wrong at the harbour, or maybe Michael or Franklin have taken the heist off somewhere else and Trevor's trying to divert attention. Okay, not much to say about this really, other than it's a train, because there are, obviously a history of trains in the GTA games. It's a freight train. You can kind of tell that from what it's dragging around.
I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're not going to be able to drive these.
Yeah?
I think you're going to be able to ride on them, but in terms of actually driving them around, I don't think it's going to be possible.
No, it would be. I guess the thing is you can look at it from 2 points of view. I think for what it's worth, I think you're probably right. I don't think that they'll give you the opportunity to drive trains. Having said that, they've mapped out this massive area. They've presumably put in place an actual working railway system. Yeah. So
it's not outside the realms of possibility. It's just like, with all the other things to do, how fun is going to be just holding accelerate?
Yeah.
I mean, you will probably get to smash them into each other. That's probably about it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, there we are. That's what I was talking about earlier. You got a slightly better look at the carrying pickup there before it goes nights. You can see that it's a Karen Rebel. That's also, the Rebel's also written on the rear. You can't see it because Trevor's
across the
around,
back,
but it's written across the back as well. So So yeah, that's I don't know why he's blowing this particular one up, but you'll probably see quite a lot of these kicking around the sort of Salton Sea area where Trevor lives, sort of a desert area. So pickups make sort of sense in that kind of area.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate what you said earlier, I think it's people will already kind of assume this anyway, I guess. But definitely you'll find certain cars in certain areas, and in this area there'll be a lot of pickups. Okay, this was really difficult to lock down because I think, and I'm going to put my neck on the line here, this is a new car for GTA 5. I couldn't. I mean, maybe it's a redesigned version of a previous car.
Could be. I mean, it doesn't look much like anything we've seen before, really.
No, we went back through the games, had a look at all the vehicles, compared and contrast, but we couldn't find anything with this sort of very distinctive kind of silver band across the sort of front of it, and the sort of light configuration is a little bit like some of the other cars, but not exactly the same. But definitely the silver band thing is what has made it hard to kind of pin down exactly what this is. So we're going to say this is a new car for GTA 5. It's obviously a high-performance sports car. Who knows? Maybe it's the fastest car in the game. I don't know.
Could be based on an Aston Martin Vanquish.
Yeah.
Just by the look of it. But obviously, it's obvious that Rockstar are going to want to put in some new cars that we haven't seen before in this game, and it's likely that this could be one of them.
It's not by coincidence. It's outside the Rich Man Hotel as well, because these are high performance cars in the Beverly Hills area of Los Santos. Quad bikes.
Here we are, quad biking through down a mountainside.
Yeah, this looks out in the. This looks like it's quite out in the sticks because there's a big lake there. But yeah, we'll see more shots of quad bikes as we go on.
Yeah, not much to say on it really. All-terrain vehicle.
Yeah.
So
I think there's probably only one type of quad bike. There might be a couple though. Keep a note of the sort of construction of the back of this quad bike here, and we'll see whether it compares to other ones in the shots coming. Okay, again, difficult one to pin down this. I think this is also a new sports car for GTA 5. We couldn't find anything that had the same light configuration, or anything even vaguely like this light configuration in the other games. And normally when Rockstar have redesigned their cars from previous games, they've kept it very... they've really given them a spruce up, but they've kept those sort of key elements basically the same. So you can see how the cars have kind of evolved through generations. But with this one, I don't know. I haven't seen anything like it. The lights look a little bit like a sort of Audi kind of LED kind of vibe to it, but we've seen that the 9Fs are the sort of equivalent of the Audi A8. So I don't know what these are based on. They look a little bit like a Ferrari, but they're somewhere sort of in between. If anyone's got any ideas out there, do shout.
Yeah, it's definitely up there in the high performance sort of section of all the cars in GTA, but other than that, we don't really know. We've got the police cruisers in the background that we've covered before, and the one slightly further back is a slightly different designed police car.
Yeah,
it looks a lot bigger.
That's what I was referring to earlier when I talked about the Buffalo. There's two in previous GTAs. There's two different types of police car. There's like the basic sort of cruiser, which is the one that's following this car that Franklin's driving, and then there's another sort of much more robust version that's sort of built for speed and power. And it could be that in the background there, that's GTA 5's equivalent of what was in the previous games, the police version of the Buffalo.
Yeah.
Okay, back on the old Sanchez with police cruisers hammering down the street towards him. I don't really know that there's much more to say about that. We've seen it in previous screenshots. This will be for off-roading. You can go up side of mountains and all the sort of stuff you'd normally expect. It'll be interesting to see whether the Sanchez means that you'll be able to whether there'll be mini games like in forest, like forest, like downhill stuff and that kind of thing. I certainly wouldn't put it past Rockstar.
I'd expect some kind of, at least a couple of sort of BMX off-road courses that you can go and like race around and try and get your best time and that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, it's a shot of mountains. I think this is Salton Sea where Trevor lives.
Yeah, it looks
you can see a sort of dusty kind of feel to it. There are vehicles in it, but they're just so distant that it's hard to pin them down. Any ideas out there though? Let us know. Okay, this is interesting here. This is a 9F again, convertible.
I've seen this quite a lot of times in the trailers and screenshots.
In the background there, remember I'd just been talking about a buffalo.
Yeah.
Just have a look at that. You can't see it very well, but just have a look at that. The way the bonnet's designed there. Now, is it just me, or is that a slightly different? It looks a bit chunkier.
Yeah, slightly more curved. I think
So I don't know whether it might just be my eyes playing tricks with me. It might be the fact that the 9F is covering it up, but it looks a little bit like it's a bit more of a robust version. Maybe not, but I definitely think whether that is a buffalo or not, there will be two different types of police car. One for like just regular cops to use, another for like hardcore cops to take out when things get tasty. Okay, so up front we've got the 9F we were just talking about, the white car there. In the foreground here we've got a Dubauchi convertible. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, let's go for that.
Again, high performance. You can tell by the exhaust is firing that this is a fast car. The Dubauchi was in the previous games, James.
Yeah, it's been in.
Or has it? Yes, it has. It has been. It has been, but we just haven't got the list of the games yet. But it has been.
Definitely has been.
Yeah, it has been.
And it's fast.
It was. I think it's a GTA 4 or maybe it was San Andreas, but it's definitely been in previous games. Because when I was researching it, I thought the configuration and everything on it looked quite like the previous one. So we're pretty confident that's a Dubauchi convertible version. Here we go again with the Sanchez. Franklin's on the dirt bike there. In the air, I think we've got a Shamal there, which we glimpsed at the very, very end of, I think, trailer 1, James?
Yeah.
As it goes off into the sunset.
Yeah, that's right. We first saw it in GTA San Andreas, which would make sense. The plane looks quite big. Like, you could put other things in it rather than just people. But in San Andreas, you could only just transport yourself. So you could get in and fly it around. But there was nothing like, you couldn't put any cargo in it or anything, which we've seen other planes in screenshots that we'll have coming up that look like you can definitely put, Jeeps and other things like that in them.
Yeah. The old skydiving down into downtown. Probably from a Maverick, I reckon.
Yeah.
Maverick, again. Note the circular configuration on the back and compare and contrast with other helicopters in the game. Okay, police cruisers again.
Probably a Maverick in the background as well.
Yeah, Trevor going a bit crazy, climbing the Hollywood sign. Okay.
This then looks like the MR Roadster.
Yeah.
Which looks a little bit like a Lotus Elise.
Yeah.
Which, coincidentally, is the first model. It's the first car to be inspired by a Lotus design in the GTA series.
Yeah.
And then there it is.
I think I'm right in saying the MR Roadster appeared in a previous game, so it's not a new car to the series, which is why we've been able to nail it down. However, the one in the background there, the red one, is much more difficult to nail down. That configuration on the front, the grille, the lights, doesn't look like anything. Well, it looks vaguely like a couple of things actually in the previous games, but not enough for me to be able to definitively call what that is. So I'm going to go for a new car.
Another new car in
GTA. I don't think it's a high performance car. I think it might be a muscle car, like a real
a big American,
dirty American car, with a sort of growling engine. because it looks like it's got that kind of Mustang-y kind of feel to it. But I think that might be a new car. Again, out there, guys, if you think that I've got it wrong, please do shout.
Interesting that all the new cars we've seen so far have been red.
Oh, yeah. Good fact. Okay, so I think that on the left-hand side there, James, is a Vapid Minivan. Or
Possibly.
definitely a minivan.
It could be a four-door minivan from GTA 4.
Yeah, the one in GTA 4 was a Vapid Minivan, I think. So if they bring that sort of across, then that would make sense. And we know that a lot of the cars in the game, just like in the real world, come from the same brand. You know, are built under the same dealership. So it would make sense that the Vapid, as well as supplying the police and taxis with their cars, would also make another car.
Yeah, and the car in front of it, the red one, looks like it possibly could be a big bug, which we first saw in GTA 2.
That's quite interesting because that's the only vehicle we've seen here so far. I think I'm right in saying that stretches back as far as GTA 2.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously back then it was being designed by DMA, whereas from 3 onwards it was Rockstar. Well, they turned into Rockstar North, but it was quite a different sort of lots of different people behind it then. So it was. Yeah, it's interesting that the sort of history of these vehicles and a lot of the mythology of the games only goes back as far as GTA 3, but here for the first time we might be seeing something that goes back further. Police cruisers. There is a car behind that.
Looks like a new police SUV.
Yeah. We had a quick look back through the history books to see whether there was anything that we could kind of, that this vehicle was based on, and we couldn't find anything. But it looks like it's based on an American Ford Expedition, I think. It's certainly got that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, and the guys getting out of it don't look like they're in police uniform. They look more like sort of a SWAT team.
Yeah.
So it could be that is like a police SWAT vehicle, which is why it's slightly bigger and chunkier.
I think that would definitely make sense. Okay.
The Comet.
So the Comet, this is, you can see that on the back there, it says Comet. So that didn't require a lot of detective work.
That didn't throw you at all.
No, and you can see as well that it's not dissimilar in looks to a Porsche. Or Porsche, however you want to pronounce it. We've seen them in previous games. I think in San Andreas.
It's been in San Andreas, yeah.
So a Comet, another high performance car. Just showing you over these screenshots, how many sort of high performance sports cars there are. Don't let that. You shouldn't think that that's sort of representative of the game as a whole. It'll only be high performance sports cars. They'll still be plainly still be the sort of middle of the road sedans and all that sort of stuff that we had in previous games. There'll be a whole swathe of different vehicles.
Possibly the main reason is because they just look the nicest.
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
Going to get the nice screenshots out of them.
And I guess you use high performance sports cars to get away from police as well. It wouldn't make sense to get in a Nissan Micra and belt away from the police. Okay, James, we think this is an Akuma.
We think that. We've only seen this before in the Ballad of Gay Tony, which is why we're not 100% sure, but it looks pretty much like it. In the Ballad of Gay Tony and GTA 4 as a whole, it was like sort of the third fastest bike in the game. The fastest being the Double T Custom. So it's quite a rugged bike, but it's not like the quickest that you'll ever get in the game.
Yeah. Okay, up front we're seeing the taxis made by Vapid, same make and style as the standard police cruisers. In front of that, it's really blurred, but I think that's a Landstalker. I think it's hard to tell, but you can see that how it threw me off, because if you compare it to the one we saw earlier with that sort of wooden panel on the back, that wooden panel is very distinctive. But this, I think, even though this is blurred, it's got the same sort of configuration on the back as the Landstalker we saw earlier. On the right-hand side, I think for the first, we've seen a new car here that we haven't seen in any of the other screenshots. Is a Premier. we talked in a couple of screenshots ago about how every car we've seen so far has pretty much been a high-performance car. The Premier is a sort of standard sedan, 4-door sedan.
Middle-of-the-road family car.
Middle-of-the-road family car,
yeah.
yeah. So I think it's a Premier. It certainly looks like the Premier that featured in San Andreas and GTA 4.
Yeah, it's like the civilian version of the Taxi almost.
Yeah, it'll be, sort of standard car. Don't be surprised if, someone like Franklin, this is the sort of, before they start trying to go down the route and earning money through heist, this is the sort of car he might be belting around Los Santos in. Okay.
Another different helicopter we have here.
Or possibly the same sort of helicopter that we saw earlier on, but because we've got a closer look at it, we think it might be a Buzzard, seen in Ballad of Gay Tony before. Now, that sort of tail configuration with the sort of three sort of prongs of the tail, you'll definitely be able to see in some of the other screenshots. This looks like a civilian Buzzard. It is a possibility, of course, that those other helicopter types we saw earlier on are law enforcement versions of the Buzzard.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, when they're in the distance and a little bit, but it's hard to tell. But I think we're pretty sure this is a Buzzard.
I think in GTA 4 there was like a news report that said that the Buzzard was considered by the police as an illegal attack helicopter, but if you flew it around, like, the cops wouldn't really, notice you unless you started opening fire and things like that.
Right.
So it could be that this is just another sort of transportation helicopter.
Yeah. There's a Sanchez again. You can see different types of Sanchez, different decals on it. Not quite sure on the car here. Think it might be a Hellenbach, just based on its sort of design.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a Vapid designed muscle car.
Yeah.
But further than that, it's hard to speculate.
Yeah, I think it possibly might be a Hellenbach, but definitely, well, almost certainly Vapid and definitely a muscle car. Quad bike. There's a Campervan.
Yes.
This is interesting because in previous versions of the games there were sort of GTA versions of the VW camper. That's plainly what it's based on.
Normally where the sort of free lovey type people hang out around all the camper vans.
Don't be surprised if that's down by sort of Salton Sea where Trevor's from. That they hang out down there, away from sort of busyness of Los Santos. Yeah. I think you're almost certainly right. You'll probably find a few hippie types down there
living up in the hills. Yeah. In their camper van.
Yeah. This one was difficult. We had a good look around. I think it's a Jetmax. We were slightly thrown by the fact that the back of the speedboat in this shot is out of shot, and some of the boats in the previous versions of the games have like a sort of tail on it, a sort of high tail on it. So it could be that this boat as well has a high tail on it, but
we can't see it.
We can't see it, but I think it's a Jetmax, which we also saw in Vice City, San Andreas, and GTA 4.
Yeah, if it is a Jetmax, that would sort of class it as probably one of the fastest boats in the game that we're seeing here. And one of the ones that in previous GTAs is a vehicle that becomes unlocked once you start buying properties and things. Like purchasing the boatyard in San Andreas, CJ unlocked it, I think, by purchasing that.
Yeah. Okay, you can see that Franklin's sitting on a car there. I think that's a Jubauchi convertible. We talked about Jubauchi earlier. Yeah. I think that's the convertible version. Okay.
All right, here we go.
Right. Okay, so left to right. I think the left is a Sentinel. It's featured in every single game in the GTA universe ever. I guess it's like the sort of real world equivalent of the Ford, which is everywhere. It's like they got that sort of everyday sort of feel to it. However, it is a sort of deemed as a luxury car in previous games. So I guess it would be like a real upmarket kind of Ford, like maybe like a sort of Lexus-y kind of vibe to it. It's like that sort of feel to it. Next to that, mountain bike, obviously.
Covered the mountain bike.
Yeah, we've talked
already.
about mountain bike. I think you can just about see a. I think that's an MR. I'm not sure. 100% sure, but what I think that's an MR Roadster next. I'm not sure what the white vehicle in the back is. The sort of Jeep. I've skipped over that.
That could be a new SUV.
It could be a new SUV. It looks a bit like a sort of Suzuki kind of Vitara sort of vibe to it. So I've skipped over that. Then we get to the MR Roadster again, which we saw earlier. Not sure on the other one.
Is that the F620, or could it be a variation?
Actually,
of that?
maybe the F620 is the blue one and the Roadster is the red one. I'm confusing even myself now because I can't see them from the front. But it could be that, yeah, I think it's the F620 is the blue one, and is a sort of combo car. It's like a combination of a number of different real-world sports cars, and then the MR Roadster's in front of that, which we saw earlier. Yes, that's right.
There we go.
I'm definitely right.
Sorted that out.
And then in front of that is a Patriot, which is like a Humvee kind of vehicle, which we saw in GTA 4.
Manufactured by the Mammoth brand in GTA 4.
Yeah.
Used for sort of off-road and utility type vehicle.
In the background, you can see a couple of other cars. The taxi on the right. Not sure what the one on the left is. Again, the configuration's thrown me a little bit at the front there. The grille is quite different to anything I've seen in any of the previous games. If you've got any suggestions out there, please give us a shout. Okay. I think this is a Manana. James, tell us about the Manana.
The Manana could be, it's a two-door coupe, which we first saw in GTA 3, so it's gone back as far as that. For much of its sort of existence, it's been like one of the sort of undesirable vehicles. It hasn't got very good performance. It doesn't look especially brilliant. It's quite slow at accelerating, and it sort of goes around like sort of 90 miles an hour. So it's not the kind of vehicle you want to be aspiring to get, really. No. But it's good for having dogs in.
Yeah, dogs love it. Dogs love that car. Not sure what that vehicle is on the right-hand side there. Looks like a sedan-y kind of vibe to it. Don't know. Difficult to tell.
Sort of like could be some kind of Lexus-y type thing.
Yeah, so, but yeah, the Manana is the one that Franklin's driving there. Submarine.
Now, what to say about a submarine? It goes underwater. It's making its debut in GTA 5. Having not been in the franchise before, we don't really know how it's going to handle or anything. But
we talked about the uses of the submarine in GTA 5 a couple of episodes ago. We talked about what might be at the bottom of the ocean floor. So if you want more on the submarine, definitely check back there. Okay, and
the final shot.
We've got a Zeppelin on the right there.
Yeah.
Who knows whether you're going to be able to
pilot them?
To pilot those.
A fighter jet, which is
could be a Hydra,
could be, or a new one that we haven't seen before, or variation of an old one.
Again, like we were talking about earlier, it could be the quote unquote fighter that was dropped from GTA 4. But I think it's fairly safe to assume that the plane in the foreground that Trevor seems to be flying is an Andromeda.
Yeah, the Andromeda, which we saw in San Andreas, so making the leap across again to the new version. It's got sort of 4 engines. It's mainly a transport aeroplane, which would tie into seeing the Jeep fly out the back of it in the trailer. I think it was going to be possibly in GTA 4. I think someone did some digging and found like a file that related to the Andromeda. So there's a chance it might have at some point been put into GTA 4 and then got cut with the other planes for the reason that we stated earlier. Yeah. And now they've
restored it,
brought it back for GTA 5.
So that's every screenshot released so far. All the vehicles in them. We've attempted to name them all. If you think we've strayed somewhere, we'd love to hear from you. If you've got any ideas about the cars that we weren't quite sure about, we'd love to hear from you, but we'd love to hear from you anyway. So stick your ideas and comments below this video, and we hope you've enjoyed this episode of GTA 5 o'clock, and we'll attempt to find Dan between now and next week. In the meantime, have a good week.
Goodbye.